head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has said that military activity has violated the physical integrity of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in Ukraine several times. Zaporizhzhia in southern Ukraine is Europe's largest nuclear plant. It was occupied by Russia soon after the invasion of Ukraine in February, and there's been heavy fighting close by. The plant has also been rocked by shelling. 6 members of the IAEA team have remained at the plant and have carried out a second day of inspections. Well, our security correspondent Frank Gardner is there, and he told us more about the comments made by the IAEA that the plant's physical integrity has been violated on multiple occasions.
Well, what it means is that it's taken incoming shell and mortar and artillery fire. Nobody knows exactly for certain by whom. The Russians say it wasn't them, it was the Ukrainians say vice versa. But that incoming fire has affected, potentially, it can affect the electricity power line. So there was an interruption to the power supply previously. Backup generators kicked in, but the power supply is the key here, because it's not just the physical danger from shells coming in. And remember that this is a power plant right in the middle of a war zone. It's the threat to the power supply that keeps the reactors cool. Interrupt that for a long period of time and there is the risk of overheating and the accidental release of radiation. So I'm speaking to you now from just outside a medical facility on the edge of Zaporizhzhia, southern town in southern Ukraine, and they're going to be handing out potassium iodide tablets here as a precaution to the population against any radiation poisoning. Nobody's suggesting it's about to happen. It's a precaution. You take it for 24 hours and it helps protect the thyroid gland from radiation poisoning. The fact that the monitors are in there now essentially acts as the eyes and ears of the world, of the international community, on what is going on inside that nuclear facility. Because up until now, nobody's known for certain. The Ukrainian technicians have been keeping it going, the Russian military are in control, but nobody's been getting a really clear idea of it. That's changed in the last 48 hours. That's a plus, but it's not a guarantee against future attacks, because, as I say, it's the middle of a war zone, and Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, is quite sanguine about this. He's saying, look, great that we've got them in there, but there is still the possibility of future violations, of physical violations, in other words, attacks, shells coming in. Really, a nuclear plant is not the place to be firing mortars and rockets and artillery. This plant is relatively well protected. It's much more modern than the Chernobyl one that blew up in 1986. It's got protective shields around the reactors, but the biggest threat is really the interruption of the electricity supply. And Ukraine has been accusing Russia of doing what it calls nuclear blackmail, of worrying the world and the West in particular that there is a risk that there could be a huge, great big accident. Nobody's talking about a mushroom cloud of an explosion, but the accidental release of radiation.